All right, we are live. Welcome to Gather and Grow series. We are very excited to be here with you today. We're just going to start getting people onboarded as they come in and just curious about what is on people's minds right now. We're going to be talking about just the turbulence out there in the workplace. And would love to hear, like, what are you thinking, Jacqueline? What's kind of some things you're hearing about that are kind of turbulent right now going on in the workplace? Because there's quite a bit. What are you
There's so
hearing?
much.
Yeah.
I'd say AI, and I know we're gonna get
Yes.
into that in a little bit, but the AI has, I think, created some just that input overload with a lot of leaders, where it's what platform do I use for one, but it's also starting to kind of shut down some of the jobs people have had previously because AI can take over. So that has been a big disruption, and a positive and a negative.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hearing several things. One thing I've been hearing a lot of recently is just leaders are just not clear on what they should be doing right now because there's so many mixed messages coming in.
Mhm.
Instead of being able to have at least clarity out for 90 days or 120 days, it's just so confusing. And then the other thing that's happening is leaders are seeing layoffs of, it might be their people, it might be people, vendors they work with, and the people
Mhm.
that are gone now. And so there's just a lot of change. So we'd love to hear from you guys too. What are some things you're hearing right now? What are some of the turbulences that you're hearing about or that you're facing right now? Just put them in the chat. We can't see you, but we can see your comments. So make sure you post for us anything you're seeing. But we'll continue talking about this because I think it's crazy, and I think
Mhm.
what we talk about here a lot is how do you manage from the inside instead of just looking at all the craziness. And
Mhm.
so how to thrive.
Calm yourself so that people can be calm. Right.
And just when you see an article like just this week, I think it was last week, Wall Street came out with an article that said everybody's replaceable. The new ways bosses talk about workers, and they're telling us to, just buck it up and
So harsh.
taken over. I know it's very harsh. And so it's like if you're a people leader and you're seeing this or hearing this and you're like, what? So there's a lot of disconnection, and you might have that going on right now in your space, but yet you're trying to lead a team in a really strong way, and you're trying to manage that. So this is what we're talking about today. So if y'all have any thoughts or want to share any hot topics you're dealing with, please put them in the chat as we go along, because we'd love to hear kind of what you're facing. Those are some of the things we're facing that we're seeing this week.
Mhm.
So I want to introduce myself. I'm Dana Williams. I came from corporate 25 years and then went into coaching and consulting almost 5 years ago. I can't believe it, Jacqueline. It's been 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so it's been a fun journey. I think the one thing you learn about yourself when you're creating your own business and running your own business. You learn a lot. So I've been on a big journey, but it's been fun. And I love all my clients, and I love opportunities like this to work alongside you, Jacqueline, and just get information out there in our authentic way. So yeah, that's me. I'll pass it on to Jacqueline.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
this is why I love partnering with you, because you're so authentic. And it just what your mission is all about, I just see day in and day out every time I interact with you.
Thank you,
Um,
Jacqueline.
yes,
You.
yes. And we have the shared values, I would say, of wanting to see people thrive. And that was
Yes.
one of the things that we connected on. And similarly, I left corporate and went into executive coaching and consulting for myself. And what I really focus on is performance, helping people thrive, not just professionally, but also personally, where they can have ambition and alignment, I would say. And so working with you is great, because that is just that shared value of wanting to have people be their authentic self,
Yeah,
right? And pursue goals in a way that's very purposeful and balanced for them.
absolutely. And I think so much we all grew up kind of with people comparing ourselves or people telling us we need to be something. And we're here to say, no, we
Mhm.
want you to be your authentic self every day. And
Mhm.
tools we use and the coaching we use is all about that. And more reason with this turbulent culture right now to get our message out there in a way that people can hear it and feel it and go, oh my gosh, that's me. I want that for myself
Mhm.
as a leader. So, and Jacqueline, I love your background in psychology. And didn't you do some interesting work that I remember, like with prisoners or in guard? You know, I was like, wow, all this experience, not only working with corporate forever, but even before that, just with your psychology background. I love that. And that
Yeah.
was an interesting time, probably too.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I just did some business coaching with the formerly incarcerated last week. So that was a lot of fun.
Wow. I bet. And just seeing, and actually, this is kind of off, but they're on Netflix. They have a documentary of these prisoners that are making quilts. If you haven't seen that, you should see it.
Aw, I'm gonna have to watch that.
And it gives them purpose. And that's what we're talking about. How do you find your purpose in what you're doing
Mhm.
every day so you can live your authentic self? Well, I'll kick it over to you, Jacqueline, so you can kind of go through our path today.
All right. Well, we've got the big three secrets in bold here.
Woo!
So the first secret that we want to talk through is finding strength in stillness. And it's really about leaning into a pause, that powerful pause that can help you respond versus react to a situation. And then the second secret is all about choosing your circle wisely. So really thinking about who do you have that's in your corner.
Mhm.
We've all grown up with hearing that phrase. You are you're the combination of the five people that are closest to you in your life. So who are those strategic people that you have, particularly in the workplace? And
Mhm.
then the third secret is leading with authenticity. So
Mhm.
obviously, you can hear that is something that we really care about. We've talked about that a lot so far. But this is really about leading with your authentic self in the workplace,
Mhm.
being vulnerable, being as honest as you can, even when it's to say, I don't know what I don't know, but we're going to get through this together so that you can have that trust and rapport with your team during this turbulent time. And then we'll talk about how to integrate all three of those secrets together and have some time at the end for Q&A.
This time kind of reminds me, thank you, Jacqueline. This time kind of reminds me of 5 years ago, when we were going to the pandemic. There wasn't a blueprint for that.
Yes.
Leaders just kind of had to say, you know what, there's not a blueprint. We'll figure it out and we'll let you know and we'll keep you posted. I think that's where we are still today. I think
Mhm.
constantly leaders need a blueprint. They, as I said, one of the things I'm hearing is that they're frustrated because there's no clarity from what they should be doing because everything keeps changing. And
Mhm.
okay, how do I? And so what we're trying to do is just make the chaotic simple and try to not get this addiction to chaos, which we see in the culture,
Yeah.
and give some simplicity with these three steps and then onto the integration. So I always like having a framework to make things simple
Mhm.
and clear that we can always manage ourselves no matter what's going on in the environment around us because it's just crazy town sometimes. But that's what this reminds me of this time again. I think we're back.
Yes.
It's kind of gone
Yes.
down, and we went back to like, oh, okay, people are leaving. Now they're coming back. Oh, now they're getting laid off. Oh, what's happening, and how to
Yes.
stay in that resiliency and that time. So let's get into this. Um, so, Jacqueline, talk to us about how do you find that strength and stillness? What does that look like?
Mm, yes. So there's the noise challenge, so to speak, the great noise challenge, we'll call it, because
Yeah.
there's so many platforms that we're working off of. And I remember always joking when we were in our meetings, it could be 9 a.m. and you already have 10 tabs pulled up on your Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever you're using. So not only is it digital and information overload, but we've got just tabs pulled up everywhere and platforms we're using. And there's this rat race of go, go, go and back-to-back Zoom meetings. And you're trying to balance work with life and things are going on in the world news and you're trying to shut that out, but it might be impacting your industry. And so, because of all that, it's really helpful to take a pause. And the minute you recognize that you're overwhelmed or you're holding your breath or you're starting to become anxious, that's the time to just take a moment and pause. it makes all the difference in the world if it's just 5 minutes or 2 minutes and you're taking that deep breath. A sigh is a really good way to regulate your system again.
Mm.
And and affirmations are big. People say, I got this, but it actually helps if you say you instead, because you're disconnecting yourself kind of from that, the spin that you can get in your brain. So just take that breath and tell yourself, you got this. And
Mm.
then that reset is enough for you to really think about, how do I want to respond to this situation that I'm about to get into?
That's so interesting. So we're in the middle of personally, and I see professionally, I'm in the middle of helping my mom with a move, right? And I hear that that sigh,
Mhm.
a big move after 30 years, right? So, and I'm like, so you're saying when we're in the midst of stress and we just do that sigh, that's a good sign because we're doing
Mhm.
something better with our body than that. Or we're in the midst of trying to work on content or trying to work on a team something, and we start sighing. It's like that's a
Mhm.
trigger or a signal to tell us our body's ready to kind of take a breath, take a pause. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, anytime you just sigh it out, that's actually a positive, because you're regulating your system again. So take that deep breath and then just sigh it out for a moment.
It's funny too, when you say you. So let's talk
Mhm.
about that when you doing affirmations, or maybe you're looking at your strengths, or you're looking at one of your other tools you use to manage yourself and use
Yeah.
the word you. How does that change things?
It's almost like you are, gosh, I can't remember the science behind it. There's neuroscience behind saying you instead of I, but
Mhm.
it essentially detaches you from that situation, and you see yourself more as the observer. Sometimes we can get so stuck in the I.
Mhm.
Um, and they'll tell you that as well. You shouldn't say, I'm anxious. You
Mhm.
should say, I have anxiety, and label it. So, similarly, it's just small little tricks you're doing in your brain that help you disassociate from that level of emotion that you're feeling, so that you can look at it more as an observer. And you don't even have to be an affirmation person to know that so many of us will be in our heads and we'll be like, okay, I've got this big meeting coming up. Okay, I got it. I got it. We'll kind of talk to ourselves or in our head. So just say, you got this. You got this.
Mhm.
And it'll make a difference.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mel Robbins saying that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was telling my
Yes. Yes.
count down before we go on stage, or how do we count down before, and it's just things that you
Yes.
can do, but sometimes we forget and we think, oh, I have to look to the outside world to do this. And what we're saying is, no, go inside and see what
Mhm.
you use to help you navigate, because we all have those triggers and it's all those times. But if we don't apply something, the third thing we've got here that's interesting is the nature immersion. We were just talking about that right before we got in the call. You were saying I had to go outside, get
Yes.
some sun. And I was saying, look at these flowers I found. Oh my God,
Yes.
peonies. So it's like, why is nature so important? And why is that immersion practice important as we're finding ourselves trying to get that strength and the stillness?
Mhm. The vitamin D boost is a lot. So if we get that sunshine on our face, it's just such a boost to our overall mental health
Hmm.
and spirit. And we're just so trapped around we can be, so trapped around our desks all the time and just sitting the whole time. And to get up and to get some fresh air and be outside can be a nice mental reset and help you think through your problems or some goals that you have. So it does help kind of loosen up that creativity too, if you're just stepping outside for a moment, taking that breath, sighing, and getting a little bit of a walk in and stretch in.
It's funny when we go to the, like on a vacation, you can imagine we both travel a lot, but
Mhm.
you get near a beach or near water, it's just like, whew. But
Yeah.
sometimes we don't get to do that, or sometimes we're in a rainy location. So it's finding that. Today it's my flowers because it's raining here, but
Mhm.
it's finding that opportunity.
Mhm.
Anything else you can think of on strengths and stillness? I think these three things we'd love for you guys also to add in the comments. Anything that's coming up for you that you like to do for a practice, to find yourself when it feels a little chaotic at work or even at home. What are the things you're doing right now to take care of yourself? We'd love to hear those. So continue to feel free to give us those comments. We love those.
Well,
So
and I love what you had on there too, briefly about the daily digital sunset ritual.
yeah.
Uh, we didn't really touch on that one, but I know a lot of people that works well for, and I know even on my phone, I have it to where it goes into personal mode at 9 p.m. So if friends or family want to reach out, they can, and I may or may not get back to them, just depending. But it's nice to have something where you can just start to shut down.
Yeah. There's something, and I know Ariana Huffington talks about that you got to put your phone to bed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to put it in another room, put it because of all the blue light, everything that's coming in that's going to keep you up at night. But
Yeah.
having a ritual, I think, just think about the things you do every day without even thinking. It's the same thing with a ritual, that you're creating a habit in your subconscious of something you can do every day that's going to help you. And if you have the habit of always getting in bed with your phone, you're always going to do that until you stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that so? So when you put on your digital on your phone, you don't accept personal calls. You might, or business calls after a certain time. Is that what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yes.
I think that's really good. Not being available all the time, right?
Yes.
So I think that is also, that's a boundary. And we haven't talked much about boundaries, but boundaries are important. And deciding, how am I going to live my day? Is it going to be intentional, or is it going to be reactionary?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that earlier too, about, are we reacting and just responding to every fire that's coming out? I call it the bluebird that comes in the room and everybody's chasing it. And it's like, wait, that wasn't even our focus, right?
Yes. Yes.
Squirrel comes in the room, right? Oh, look at that squirrel. We have people like that, right? We know.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one secret is finding strengths in stillness. Number two is choosing your circle wisely. And Jacqueline talked to this in the beginning, but who are you surrounding yourself with? And you are the sum of those 5 people. And so one of the things I did a couple years back is I really assessed all my friendships and my relationships. And I really had to do some ridding of some people in my life that were just toxic and that didn't serve me, and that I was trying to constantly help, and they didn't even know when I kind of decided I wasn't going to be available all the time for them. They didn't even really figure that out, because I was the one doing all the relationship building there. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of freeing for me. And my husband and I did this both together, and then we did it individually. Over time, it's like, boy, that person really is always negative and is always talking about the world is coming to an end, and I can only have so much time with that person because it's so draining. Whereas this person's challenging me to be my best every day, calling me to be the best, not telling me, oh, you shouldn't be doing something. And so, how about you with your friendships and your relationships? Has that been something you naturally do, or have you had to do some cutting over the years? I've just lived a little longer than you, so I'm sure that's why. A few people in my arsenal here, that are a few people in my tribe that I'd had to realize it was hard.
There were a couple, I think, where I found it difficult sometimes, and I know many can relate to this, is just creating boundaries within the family unit itself, whether it's
Oh
nuclear
yeah.
or extended.
Mm,
So that was something that I really worked on in the past, I would
yeah.
say 2 or 3 years of just creating boundaries within the family unit. And I think I naturally was sorting with friendships. But I still had to kind of look out and say, who do I need to love from afar a little bit more, because this person is just, you know, not
Mhm.
not on the same path that I'm moving towards, or that I'm on.
And really at work, you don't get to choose your friends sometimes. We hope
Mhm.
everybody has some really close friends at work. There's always going to be somebody going through something, and being able to manage that and lead well, love them from afar,
Mhm.
care for them, but not feel like you have to respond or react to them. And I think that's pretty powerful. One of my favorite books I'm reading right now is called Unoffendable, and it's really about, just seeing people differently and not trying to respond or react to them. Um,
Mhm.
Especially those tougher people, could be family members or people that you work with every day, and how to just care from them, but take care of yourself. So, because this does affect your mindset,
Mhm.
and the possibility thinking, and just standards and excellence. I found recently this summer, actually this spring, I started a small group of women that we all have our businesses. We are doing similar work, and we just get together once a month and just share openly and honestly what's going on. And it's been real life giving for me to be with them and hear from them and learn from them. But I had to intentionally set that up because I
Mhm.
knew I was, as an entrepreneur, you kind of miss that going to the office and having that little community that's different from some of your other communities. So
Yeah.
that's been life giving. How about you?
I love
Setting up community with people, and I know you're in a new city, and that's probably a whole different thing too, right? When you move and all that. So, any thoughts on that?
Similarly, I immediately started thinking about the networks that I wanted to be a part of here. And so that's been really fun. And there's, for those that know, I am focused on real estate investing as well. It's the fun thing that I'm doing on the side. And so there's a real estate investors network that I'm a part of. And then I just recently joined a business professionals network of those that are fellow founders, or they're in C-suite or senior leadership, industry agnostic. And we connect once a month formally. And then we also have little groups throughout the month where we can connect. So that's been a lot of fun, is having that like-minded community of folks in both, I would say, business realms that I'm a part of.
I love that because you're getting around other people you would never have exposure to, but you had to
Mhm.
intentionally do that. And so these questions kind of on the side are like, who challenges your thinking? Who are the people out there that will challenge you? If you don't have them in your life,
Mhm.
go out and find a networking group or a group like what you're talking about in some areas of expertise or something that you enjoy that. I always think about who models excellence for you. Who's
Yeah.
that person out there? Say, man, what a great job. Consistent, has the same core values, somebody that you really respect, somebody that you might even invite to be on your virtual board of directors, which we talk about here
Mhm.
too, is who's on that board with you, just calling you to excellence. And then who's going to just say, hey, can you have coffee? I need some support. I just need somebody to listen to me today. I'm having a tough day, or I'm building something new. Like right now, I'm writing a book. So I'm really reaching out for other people that have written books and just learning. And I have, get to say, I've never done this before. So love some help. And then who do you share your values, but expand your perspective? So it might be a coach, is what we do. It could be somebody else that is. I lean on my financial planner for things. I lean on the people that know my values, but want to just challenge me further.
Mhm.
And Jacqueline, what's coming up for you when you think about these questions, or any other questions that maybe someone listening might want to ask themselves as they're trying to figure out their circle and why it's so important to choose that circle wisely?
Mm. Maybe another question to consider, even as you're looking at the questions that you've just walked through and some of the examples, is who do I not have? And
Mhm.
sitting at my board of directors table, so to speak, that
Yeah.
models excellence or would offer genuine support, or has a level of expertise that I want to learn and grow from. And then that gap is showing you where you could have a strategic partner in place.
Oh, I love that. See, what you just role modeled there was that vision for impact. So I hadn't thought about it that way. Who's not at my table and how can
Mhm.
I make an impact, and who can show me who's not there that I haven't thought about? And then what we're really kind of undergirding everything today with our whole talk on understanding this turbulent culture is, how do you remain resilient in challenges? And who are the people in your circle that have gone through some big challenge, big stuff?
Mhm.
Because what I found, Jacqueline, is the people that have gone through the big stuff, whether it be personal, professional, any just major downturns, are the people I want to be around, because they've learned, and they've learned
Yes.
resilience. And it's, don't talk to me if you haven't been through a tough time, because I don't know how to learn from you, but I'm going
Ye-
to learn from those that have gone through the tough time, because they're going to have a vision of how to help me what they learned. And we're all going to have our deep tough times,
Mhm.
um, but it's those people that will bring a different perspective.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so well said.
And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, so pick pick these people carefully. That's why we use the word wisely as you're thinking about your circle, because you're going to be the sum of them. And when you realize that, though they say always get in the proximity of the people you want to be, not who you are right now, but who you want to be, because the leader you are right now isn't going to be the leader you're going to be a year from now, or the coach you're going to be a year from now. People that are going to help you get to that next level. And that's what we want to charge you up for as you're thinking about this circle. Well, let's move on to secret 3, which is one of our favorite things to talk about, which is leading with authenticity. So what does this mean, Jacqueline, when we say leading with authenticity as a leader?
Yeah, it immediately reminds me of David Meister and his research on trust. He came up with the trust equation, and he says that credibility plus reliability plus intimacy over self-orientation, meaning it's more about them than you, is what establishes trust. And when you think about trust, I think another word for it would be you're leading with your authentic self. You're being vulnerable. And so when you're doing that and you're leading with authenticity and you're building trust and rapport in the workplace, you're creating psychological safety for the team. And again, it could be, we don't know what the road's going to look like ahead a week from now because there's so many changes happening day in and day out. But just sharing that with the workplace or your team makes a difference, to say, I don't know what I don't know, but lean back into hope to say, we'll get through this together, and compassion to say, I know it's tough right now, to continue to have that psychological safety. And it also breeds innovation and risk taking, where if you are being authentic, more people feel like they can kind of put their guard down, and ideas are going to come to light, and they're going to be more open to kind of sharing their own ideas because you're that trustworthy person they can talk to. You retain talent that way because people know that you've got their back and that you're authentic and not selling snake oil, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you're creating that culture resilience within the organization or your team itself, because you are modeling authenticity. And so you're creating an authentic culture.
I love that. And, I think back to leaders, and you think probably to yours too, Jacqueline, and the ones that were most authentic, that would just get up and be themselves and not somebody else.
Yes.
It's so hard when somebody new came in our culture that was coming from a whole different culture, and they were trying to be funny or trying to be, and we're like, no, just be yourself. We don't care. And I think that whole mantra of, don't take yourself seriously, but take the business seriously. So many of us think if we've got to just be serious about all this, about how we are and how we show up. But when you're showing up in your authenticity, it's just so easy. I don't have this crazy gut feeling when things aren't right. I just go, there's something not right here. And I got to check my, spirit on that. Why does that not feel right? And it's usually because I'm trying to act out of a space that's not mine.
Yeah.
And so I think followers see that. And I love how you brought up the 4 needs of followers, with hope being the number one. I think that was when I learned that, was it about 5 or 6 years ago? And we had just started in COVID, and we were getting ready to close down. This was at Southwest, and we're getting ready to close down airports. And it was kind of a scary time. But at the same time, I wrote that on the board: hope, compassion, trust, and stability. And said to leaders, everything we write, everything we say, let's make sure we're integrating these words in, because based on that research from Gallup, that brings that trust, that brings that authenticity. And it's a simple thing, but so many times we're just moving in our communication and we're not thinking about how we're saying something to bring in that psychological safety, to bring in that innovation and risk taking. And then the talent retention, that's interesting, because I'd much rather, when I think of the leaders I work with that were so authentic, I couldn't wait to get to work and be with them, because they were just so darn funny and had fun. They were funny, but I knew I was getting real with them, and they were with me, and I could go through life's moments with them. And so it was like, man, I don't want to work anywhere else, because these people get me, and we're having such a fun time, and it's great. Right? It's like keeping that culture is leading with authenticity. What are your thoughts on this as we think about that? Is any other thoughts that are coming up?
Something that you said earlier about how you had hope, stability, trust, compassion written down,
Mhm,
and you wanted that incorporated into all the communications.
mhm,
I love what you said because it also ties back to secret number one and
mm,
finding stillness.
mm,
Because when people go, 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 you just, as you said, you might just email blast out a message without thinking about it. And
mm,
that's where the pause can come in handy because you're
mm,
not reacting to the situation and just sending out a communication. If you take a moment just to pause, then you can be more responsive in a way that's constructive and conducive to the culture itself. And you can make sure you're incorporating hope or trust or stability or compassion. I would say all four.
mhm.
But you tend to see within the culture what they need more of in that moment too.
Oh,
So
that's
that you're sending out the right messaging.
yeah, I used to always we had a kind of that 24-hour rule, especially for those of us that wanted to get things going. It's like, let's just wait 24 hours and see what we think about it tomorrow
Yep.
morning, because things can change. And overnight is sometimes, unless you've got to move fast,
Hmm.
24-minute or the 2-minute, but at least give yourself that time. So let's
Yeah.
kind of summarize. So we've talked about finding strength and stillness and choosing the circle and leading with authenticity. Now let's go to step 4, which is really about integration and
Mhm.
putting those 3 secrets in action. And I love how you talked about stillness and the different ways we can find the stillness with turning off our digital devices, going for a walk, taking a breath,
Mhm.
getting into the right circle, and then attracting. How do we be those leaders that are going to attract the right circle,
Mhm.
create that impact? So, what kind of challenges can we give right now as we discuss this? Because this is something we're not talking about anything else that we're not practicing. We're not asking you guys to go do something we haven't practiced, but Jacqueline, as you think about thriving and you think about activities that have helped you, what are some things that have helped you thrive? Um, and what are some things as we go through this that have really kind of stuck with you?
What I've been doing more recently, I would say on a consistent basis, is the stillness in the morning and at night. So I'll start my day with meditation in the morning and I end my night with meditation. And that really has helped to continue to increase my self awareness. And through that, I'm able to move through my day in a way that's much more intentional, is the
Mhm,
word I would say. And that helps with the relationships that I have, whether it's current partners or new business partners that I can, you
mm.
know, strike up a conversation with or go have a coffee with. And so those have been the two that I've really been focused on is stillness and circle.
Ooh, I love that.
Authenticity, I know we both share Relator, if I
Yes,
recall. And
yes,
so
yeah.
that I think we were born wanting to be our truest self.
Mhm,
And I'm always looking for how do I continue to live my most authentic self. But I think anyone that's listening that also shares Relator, one of those elements of Relator is wanting to be genuine and true, and it's a core value that we tend to hold. So I
mm,
think that one I feel like just is it's there. It's that core value of
yeah.
authenticity.
Yeah, and for me, it is that authenticity. I wanna be my best self every day, and
Mhm.
I think one of the things I learned through just some hard knocks and some hard challenges in life is how to really know my feelings and understand them and then do something with them and know. And I think that's something when we're so busy and we're just moving, busy moms, busy work, and then
Mhm.
busy dads, whatever, and you're not really stopping and thinking, okay, how do I feel about this? Who is my circle of trust? And so I'm combining kind of my circle and my authenticity group. And I do have a group that we just share really raw stuff. And we try to meet at least once a week and just say what we feel and what's going on. And that has been so life-giving to me because I know I can go to that group and go, "Phew, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling." And nobody really says anything back. We just get it all out. And
Mm.
it's been real powerful to practice that. So that's something I'm working on right now as well. So we'd love to hear from you, things you're working on, things you're doing. Um, And we are so excited to be here. Usually we're here the last Monday of every month, but today we're here because next Monday is Memorial Day. So that's why we're here a little early in May, but we are here usually the last Monday of every month. And we want y'all to stay in touch and would love to hear any questions or thoughts you guys have.
Mhm.
If you've listened to this, other topics that are coming up for you, please email us, let us know, or you can send us a link on our channels on LinkedIn, just right here on LinkedIn. Just reach out to both of us. And we would just love to hear, what was powerful for you today. And if there's any questions you have, just put them in the chat. If not, we will just wait to hear back from you on LinkedIn. So, any final thoughts, Jackie, as we get ready to close out?
I would end with what I've heard once before from a leader. I believe it was when I was listening to John Maxwell, but it wasn't John Maxwell, I don't think. But it's the quote, "Attitude walks in the room before you do." And so I think as you're thinking about the chaos that's happening in your industry, in your organization, or in the world, these 3 secrets can be really helpful in order to make sure that your attitude is showing up in a very intentional way so that you aren't being reactive, but you're being responsive to what's happening because you do have that sphere of influence, particularly as a leader or a manager. And yeah, it's going to be most helpful that you really think about these 3.
Yeah. And I think in closing, just really finding the strength in who you are and what you are, even journaling that. I love journaling in the morning, using the journal. We do have it's just a PDF on how to build your board of directors. So if you're interested in that, let us know. And just really, really getting with those people that are going to help you lift you up to be that best self every day. So who are you? What are you working on the inside? So the outside, you can really be your authentic self. So we're just so thankful for y'all being here today with us. And want you to reach out and look for us the end of June. We will be live here again at the same time, and just look forward to hearing from you. So thanks again, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Mhm.